Hey, what is going on, everybody out there? This is Jakejames Lugo. Welcome to the channel and welcome to this brand new episode of JJ's One Man Podcast. I know it's becoming a habit at this point that I haven't uploaded a lot of episodes of this podcast, but bear with me. I've been putting out a lot of content here on the channel, including all the reviews, all the gameplay videos, and a lot of other stuff that I've been working on that's coming very soon to the channel. Of course, thank you so much to everybody that's been subscribing to the channel, who's been leaving comments on all the videos. You guys are the best. I really appreciate it. It helps out the channel a lot, of course, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be able to meet my goal that I want to grow the channel to throughout the course of this year. But regardless, though, now that all that is out the way, let's get into the meat and potatoes of what I want to talk about, because I've been simmering on this for the last couple of days. It's kind of been going on, I want to say, for maybe about close to a week, give or take a few days. But I've been simmering on this for the last few days after watching a bunch of stuff, reading up on some stuff, and I want to talk about it. You know, I feel like this is something that a lot of people, for whatever reason, they're kind of divided on a lot of different issues, which I can understand why, but it seems like a lot of the people that are discussing this stuff are getting away from the bigger issues at hand, or at least not seeing the full picture of a lot of different things. So what am I referring to besides, if you haven't already read the title at this point? I want to talk about the G4 stuff. The stuff that's been going on with G4, their channels, their community, and everything else that's associated with it. Now, if you didn't already know, I'm pretty sure you've already seen it. If you're into gaming, I'm more than certain you probably saw all this stuff. The stuff that had been going on with Frost Kieran, which is named Indiana, or her name is Indiana, her real name, but her handle is Frost Kieran. She went on a little bit of a rant, a little bit of a tirade on one of the episodes of X-Play, which she was basically spouting off a bunch of stuff, you know, how she's been feeling in relation to the G4 audience and in relation to sexism in games. Now, here's the big thing that I took out of that, okay? Because I don't disagree with anything that she was saying or anything that she was discussing as far as sexism in any industry, not just gaming, but any industry is bad. And people need to be better in general. You know, the way that they treat people online, the way that they interact with other individuals in chat rooms, in stream live chats, and all this other stuff, social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, etc. Nobody is disregarding that. And especially I think that people that are acting foolish towards women need to act better towards them, because in general, that's just not a cool way to be. But here's the big issue that I feel like not only her and a lot of other people are getting away from. You can't really talk down to your audience like that in any sort of way, because all you're going to do is make the issue significantly worse. And the reason why I say that is not because I disagree with anything that she said. I don't disagree with anything. It was some stuff that I actually was watching from Chris Gore. He was on another podcast a little while back, I want to say a couple days ago, and he was talking about this stuff after it happens because people were asking him about it. And if you don't know who Chris Gore is, Chris Gore was their movie guy at G4 for a long time, especially on Attack of the Show. He was there for about 8 years that he worked. And he knows a lot about how G4 was operated behind the scenes. He knows a lot about what goes into their content, how things are done. And he had a lot of interesting perspective to share about this whole debacle. And one of the things that stood out to me, or at least a couple of things that stood out to me from what he was saying, was that one, a lot of what she was saying and kind of like ranting about on the stream there felt scripted. It felt like she was reading from a teleprompter, and he could tell. He was even coming out and telling everybody, listen, I did this for years with G4, so I could tell when somebody's reading off a teleprompter, and it feels exactly like it does, you know, back then. You know, someone like her is reading straight up from a teleprompter, and it feels very disingenuous because, again, what she's saying and what she's referring to is not a bad thing as far as like being better and not having sexism be such a big part in the games industry. However, what you can't do is talk down to your audience and try to belittle them and try to shame them into being a certain way that you want them to be, which I can understand. I could kind of relate to that because as an audience member, and again, I've watched G4 since the beginning, since it was back in the Tech TV days. So I think I have a pretty good perspective on a lot of stuff that was going on, including Chris Gore's career. I watched all of his career throughout G4 when he was over there, and he's absolutely right. You know, no audience, whether it's males, females, or anybody else like that, wants to be talked down to, wants to be condescended, wants to be ordered around like you're trying to be their parent. I think that's one of the biggest issues with this that Frost and as well as also the other people over at G4 have really kind of, you know, found themselves into. They kind of put themselves into this as far as, you know, interacting with their audience a specific way. Now, let's be real. the way that people were acting afterwards in a lot of the different forums and a lot of the different social media posts, even the comment section, both on Twitter and in, not on Twitter, on the videos and in the live chat on their Twitch streams, some people are acting ridiculous. And I think that's just because specifically as a reaction to the way that Frostka came off in her video. It's, again, I have to keep reiterating this because I know somebody's going to totally overlook it. Nobody is disagreeing with her. Nobody is saying that how she's being is being a total jerk. There are some people out there that are saying that, but the majority of people, what their bigger issue is not with what she was saying, was how she was just coming off. Some people have said that maybe it's because she has other stuff that she was a little bit upset about that people were criticizing her over, which I can understand too. It could be very annoying to deal with people constantly throwing criticism at you here and there. But I think that also some of the concerns that people were bringing up were legit concerns. She did misspoke on a couple of streams, and I think it's one in particular that people were referring to when she was talking about how PlayStation 5 and PlayStation as a platform, as an ecosystem, is dead in the water compared to Xbox. It's an opinion, but she straight up, again, if you're on a show like XPlay, you should be at least in the know of some of the stuff that's going on within your industry. You know, to make a statement like that was not only ignorant, but also gravely ill-informed. And I think that maybe she just got a little bit overwhelmed with a lot of the feedback and the constant nonsense thrown at her because of that, which was of her own doing. You could even go back and watch the original video and see the reactions both from Gerard, from Adam, from the Black Hokage. And you could tell, like, I don't think everybody there agreed with her, but, you know, it is what it is, you know, which probably led to this big blow up with her on XPlay afterwards. But here's the other thing too, outside of just the talking down towards the audience, which I think is a problem. I think also what made it even worse because of how everybody was reacting, shutting off the comment section and shutting off like your Reddit, you know, banning people or just like deleting people from your live stream chat and doing all these other things with the Discord server and stuff. I think that was the absolute wrong way to go about it because the internet is going to internet. People are going to be the way that they are, and being in the entertainment business and being out in the public spotlight, while it is wrong for some people to act like that, you have to understand as a professional in this industry that people are going to be like that, and it comes with the territory. You know, as much as it could be annoying, and again, I've experienced this myself, even through YouTube and even through some of my other work that I've done, my freelance work for places like IGN and even some of the other stuff I did on my previous website. People are going to be that way. That doesn't mean that, you know, you have to kind of like rage and just constantly just try to police the behavior of other people. They're just going to act the way that they're going to act, whether you agree with it, like it, or disagree with it, or dislike it. And I just think that doing what the community managers did at G4 by being so kind of like, you know, restrictive and strict and stifling on their engagement, you know, for their community, I think that was the wrong decision. And again, I go back to the Chris Gore stuff that I saw. He even said the same thing. It's like, listen, back in the day, G4 was all about community engagement. They were all about their community. I didn't even know this, and he mentioned it, that G4 and specifically Attack of the Show won an Emmy because they were one of the first groups, if not the first groups, to show the live Twitter feed with the engagement, or the live chat with the engagement with their community live on TV, which I didn't know for the longest, and that's actually pretty cool. But it really goes to show you just how far distant the current G4, you know, behavior and the people that are running the ship over there are kind of distanced from the way they used to be back in the day. Which, by the way, we'll get into in just a second. Let me just take a sip of this coffee, by the way. I'm recording this early in the morning, you know, super early, because I just felt like just getting up and talking as I was having morning coffee. So give me a second. It tastes very good. Now, here's the thing about that, getting away from what G4 used to be. Because as a fan, I could really speak on this, and I know exactly how G4 was, all the way up from its conception, from when it started, all the way to the point that it died the first time. You know, and I say the first time not as like a, you know, a serious thing, as like a tongue-in-cheek joke, because a lot of people are saying like this could lead to the downfall of G4 and all this stuff. I don't necessarily believe that, but really, the time that G4 went away and when it was canceled, all the shows and the programming were dead in the water. The reason why that happened was because a lot of the stuff that they were doing was not only being transferred over to what they were going to do with Esquire Network, but also because a lot of it was just so blatantly just like gratuitous with a lot of the things that they did. You know, they were trying to be almost kind of like Spike TV, because back in the day, that's what was hitting. That's what was getting viewers and ratings on national television. And the people over that were running the head, you know, the stuff that was, you know, the whole kind of like, you know, massive programming stuff, and all the people that were making decisions over there, they were really the ones that saw that. And when it wasn't really being profitable and it wasn't really kind of doing numbers, they decided to kill it off. the big thing that you should take out of that was that most of the time, a lot of people, specifically a lot of people were referring to Olivia Munn, Morgan Webb, Allison Hayslip. What is it? I think I forgot the other girl's name, but what is it? She was on Cheat, and there was a couple others as well that were on Attack of the Show. They were all overly sexualized, every single one of them. And that was like a hallmark of the network. Now, personally for me, while I don't mind seeing a beautiful or attractive young woman, again, it's totally cool with me. I was mostly always about watching the gaming content because I felt that should be the focus for a network called G4 TV, Games for Television or Gamers for Television, whatever the actual acronym was or whatever that logo stood for. I felt like that should have been the main focus, which is what they did in the early days of G4. Again, with programs like XPlay, the way that they handled stuff with screensavers, with Cinematech, with Cheat, with Arena, some of these shows that myself and a lot of other people used to watch a lot, like all the time. It's what we grew up on during our like middle and high school years. The thing is that to outright deny that Morgan Webb or Olivia Munn or any of these other women that were on the shows back in the day, that they weren't overly sexualized or that they weren't put in front of the camera because they were beautiful and because it was that tantalizing and appealing to viewers, especially the male audience that was watching it most of the time, is absolutely absurd. This is where I feel like Indiana is completely wrong, or at least she misunderstands the network that she's going to and its legacy. I get it that a lot of people want to change things up. A lot of people want to kind of, show women in TV and show women in gaming specifically in a different light. And that's totally fine. But that doesn't mean that a whole bunch of other people that are a whole bunch of other women specifically, there's nothing wrong with them being beautiful on camera or being eye candy in some ways, because there are men that are eye candy in all forms of television. Let's be real here. But also to flat out just try to go on the opposite side of the pendulum for a network that really did this type of thing for the longest time and was known for doing this. I even heard in another podcast that even for people that were working in the industry at the time that were part of websites and part of other networks, G4 was the one place that like objectified and completely sexualized women the most than any other outlet. Than any other place within the games industry or even entertainment industry for that matter, because granted, G4 at one point tried to position themselves as more like a geek culture type of network, not just video games. It was games, movies, comics, tech, all that type of stuff, which I could even say was more in line with how tech TV was back in the day, but still, I digress. The main thing is that I guess like for whatever reason, some of the people over there just feel like, they have to be so highly like against what G4 was. And I get it. And I understand it. That's what the whole, I guess it's the popular thing to do right now. But I think it's wrong to just kind of like feel like, the audience that has watched G4 for so long, all of a sudden now is the problem because of that stuff. That was G4 that did all that grew that audience. They reap what they're sowing right now, if that makes any sense. It's kind of a shame. And it goes back to the thing I mentioned earlier, talking down to your audience and trying to belittle them and trying to be, nasty towards them and then expecting them to treat you differently. You know what I'm saying? Like it just doesn't work out that way. A lot of YouTubers, especially YouTubers that are larger than G4 now or get a lot more traffic and engagement than G4 now, they go through the same type of thing. And the majority of them, at least, a good chunk of them, don't try to act like that because they know that one, your audience is what puts you there in the first place. Two, that your audience is what sustains you. And three, if you come out and make a statement saying, if you don't like what I have, don't watch, the majority of people could walk away. That doesn't mean that you do your content in fear of like losing all your viewers and stuff, but let's be real here. Why do you need to even take it to that point? You know what I'm saying? Like there's a better way to go about this stuff. There's a better way to show your audience that there's a better way to move. And there's a better way to talk to them on top of that, which I don't feel like Frost with her rant, as much as I agree with a lot of what she was saying, really accomplished in this regard, let alone the reactions from some of the people over there. I don't understand why some of those reactions will have to be like, so overly, exhibitionist to show support for Frost. The same thing on social media. I feel like it was almost comedic at this point. It was more being done for display rather than actually supporting what she was talking about. It just didn't seem right to me. A lot of people might disagree with me on that, but go look on Twitter, go look on social media, and look at the way that not only people in the industry are talking about it compared to the way that the majority of audience members are talking about it. I'll tell you right now, I don't think that all the audience out there is, sexist males or sexist white individuals. Like, it's just really weird to kind of like think about it like that, but there's a very big disparage between the way that people saw it and the way that some people are trying to talk about it on Twitter. But again, I digress. Now, quick thing. Let me take a quick sip before I get into this real crazy part of this whole debacle, right? So here's the other big thing about this, which was shocking to me. It was shocking and it was unbelievable and it was really eye-opening and really disappointing to all this. So let's talk about Adam Sessler. Okay. Adam Sessler, you guys know, if you've been following me for years, if you've watched over a lot of my content or seen me talk about G4 or Adam Sessler over the course of my career, you guys would know I respect the hell out of Adam Sessler. Adam Sessler was one of my biggest role models when it came to talking about games, when it came to making content about games, and everything else. Here's the thing, though, however, that does not excuse any sort of like moment that I feel a certain type of way when I see Adam do something I feel like is very stupid. And I think that the majority of other people are starting to feel like that. So I'm not going to get too much into the specifics of the tweets and some of the stuff that I saw, which is out there already. There's been a bunch of different outlets and websites have really like talked about this. I thought that the way Adam was acting, and on top of the way that he came off during Frost's whole tirade, I felt that was really uncalled for. I felt that it was really unnecessary. I felt like it was rude, some of his tweets that he had put out there. To call people all these names and to wish death upon people, I feel like is just not right. It's just not cool. You know, a lot of people, individuals, not just like Chris Gore, but I've even seen other people on other podcasts that work in the industry have come out and said, like, I don't know what the hell happened to Adam. And it's totally shows. Now, in my personal experience with Adam, having met him a couple times at E3, you know, he's been nothing but nice to me. He's been nothing but cool to me. Very pro. You know, maybe it's a thing with social media, or maybe there's been other stuff that has made him more jaded over the years. But I can tell you right now, it was very unsavory and it was very kind of disappointing seeing him talk the way he did about other people. I get politics and like a lot of political discourse can make people very, very kind of antsy and sensitive. And there could be a lot of like debates and arguments back and forth. I get it. I totally understand it. Politics are a very divisive type of topic to discuss. However, that being said, I think, excuse me, I over here drinking the coffee and over here burping as I'm talking. I think that when you're a professional in our industry, or any industry for that matter, especially if you're in the public eye, there is absolutely no need and there's absolutely no reason to come out and make a statement like you wish death upon people just because they see things differently than you, just because they have a different political opinion than you. I think it's absolutely uncalled for and wrong for Adam to have done some of the stuff he did. Now, I get he doesn't care. I get that it is his own Twitter platform. It is his own kind of like soapbox to talk about stuff. Yeah, you see what I did there? Sessler soapbox. But I get that. However, it doesn't make it morally right. Doesn't make everybody else a bigot just because we criticize that or just because we disagree with them on certain stuff. I'm not a Republican. I don't identify as either a Republican or a Democrat. I'm an independent, and I have my own political beliefs that I don't really share online and stuff. But at the same time, just because I disagree with someone doesn't mean that I'm going to say like, oh, they drink piss or that they do all these other things. Like, that's absolutely like not cool. Like, what happened to the thing of like, again, understanding that your audience is the reason why you're there in the first place? Adam is in the position that he's in because of all his years of making content at G4 and all of us watching it and all of us engaging with it, all of us enjoying what he had to say about video games. And it feels like over the last couple of years, including up till now, it feels like he's just been part of like this whole like wave of just people that feel like they just have to insult others based on political discussions for the sake of, in order to be relevant or in order to be feeling like they're on the right side of history for some reason. And I find that to be weird. I found it to be awkward. I found it, again, to be rude, the way that he came off to people. And just some of the other stories on top of that, which now taking those into account with what we've seen play out in the public eye on Twitter and with G4 itself now, again, the network's only been around for like 2 months officially, quote unquote. It just starts to put things in a really weird kind of light and a really weird perspective that is very unsavory. That is not cool. It's very uncomfortable to look at all this stuff because I don't want to see G4 go away. I don't want to see G4 have to go through all the nonsense that they're probably going through right now. I would love for them to be successful and to be a network that shows and talks about games in a light that people want to hear about, rather than just kind of just dismiss them or try to insult them by saying, oh, they're part of all these other outlets that get into a lot of political discourse or social justice and all this other stuff. Social justice and political discourse aren't bad things. It's the way that you present yourself, I feel like. And again, we circle all the way back to that rant that Frost had did on X-Play. And just even the way that Adam was acting, you know, over there clapping or putting out tweets that, oh, you know, he works with his heroes and stuff. Is like, really, like, are you really in tune with the way that everybody took that? You know, getting away from the bubble and really looking at how people reacted to that stuff. Not everybody is someone that you were speaking about, that you have to insult like that. It's just wrong. And again, it really makes me shake my head. And I want things to be better. I want clearer, more cooler heads to prevail. And it feels like it's going to be a while before that happens. And I think that from what I saw anyway, and the way that people were talking about this discourse and this like back and forth between G4 and their audience, Adam and the G4 audience and everybody else is really going to continue going on for a while. Eventually people will move on, but I want to see things done better. I want to see them talk to their audience better. I want to see not just Frost and Adam, but everybody else over there really handle this in a whole lot more of a professional light and a better understanding that, look, there are bad things in the world. Yeah, we get it. At the same time, you know, you have to take criticism. At the same time, not everybody's going to fit the same type of bad motif of stuff that you have to deal with. And on top of that, just, you know, make content that people want to enjoy. Make content that people are going to get something out of there. It's going to be insightful, that people are going to walk away from it and not feel like they just, you know, feel just not that great about what they watched. Not because they're bad people, but because they feel like they just didn't enjoy it and don't know how to convey that. Anyway, I know that's a lot there. There's a lot of different stuff, and I was jumping all over the place here, but this is the one cool thing about these podcast episodes is where I just get to freestyle and just shout out my thoughts and just give you guys my thoughts and continue the discussion going in the comment section. Speaking of which, let me know how you feel about all this stuff down below in the comments. You know, do you like the stuff that's been going on with G4, which I don't know, a lot of people don't really, you know, did you get something out of Frost's rants or her, you know, her whole spiel about what she was talking about? What do you think about how Adam Sessler has been coming off the last like couple of years, or the stuff that was being passed around on Twitter? What do you think about G4 right now? That's the real question I want to present to you guys. Has it been successful? Has it been mediocre? Has it been meh? Has it been yay? Has it been nay? Talk to me about that stuff down below in the comment section. And of course, leave a like on this video if you guys can, especially if you enjoyed the discussion. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you guys could as well. We're getting close to 3K subscribers, and I want to go even further beyond that, hopefully, fingers crossed. And also, don't forget to check out some of my other videos that I've been posting up. I've been posting up a lot of reviews. I just put up my Sonic the Hedgehog 3 review, which a lot of people seem to like, which is good. It's doing a little bit better than some of my previous videos. And it was also my Halo Infinite review, which went up, which didn't do as good as Sonic 3, which I find funny because Halo Infinite is a brand new game. It's much more of a newer release than Sonic 3, but you know how those Sonic fans are. We love our games. But anyway, that being said, hopefully you guys got a lot out of this discussion, and I will talk to you again very soon. Peace out and stay epic, everybody.